When you see the whole world shaking and you feel your heart is breaking, take my hand, no hesitating. Oh, when you're just so tired of trying, all alone you feel like hiding. Together we'll keep fighting. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Can you see the sun is shining like a new hope? Feel it rising, coming over the horizon. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't stop now. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna mountains too high we can climb it. Fearless, we're taking the moment. There's no stopping us. Hold on, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. Don't you give up, don't you give up on me. Don't you give up, don't you give up now. There's no stopping.
Good evening. It's Saturday, May 7th, Mother's Day Eve. Well, let me make sure my microphone is up here so you could hear me very well. And it was a nice day this morning. Went to the Buckrow Beach Farmers Market. Today was the opening for the year 2022. And actually, we have William there. Maybe I'll just, since I'm talking about, I'll bring in William right now.
Hey Chris, I am today at the Buckrow Beach Farmers Market in Hampton. Today is the opening day for 2022. The vendors will be here on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The market will run to October 31st. Come down and purchase produce coffee, eggs, jellies, jams, and much, much more. Then visit the beautiful beach with its remodeled boardwalk. Hope to see you here.
All right, William, thank you. And he actually sent me a message that we have a couple of people asking about the real estate market. That's some questions that we'll put on Real Estate with Mr. G. And we will, I'll take a question, and if we have time for it, and I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. But that's good. So he's down there. And I was actually down there as well. Beautiful day. I took some pictures. And it will continue to October 31st. It's Saturdays from 9 to 1 p.m. There will be some days where they will be closed for other activities. I know more of the weekend they will be closed because probably since it's the beginning of the summer festivities at the beach, they will be closed. But you could go to their Facebook page, Buckrow Beach Farmers Market, and see what days they are actually closed for other events. Okay, so I'm Chris Gargiulo. My program is Real Estate with Mr. G. I am an associate broker for eXp Realty, and we like to talk about current events, in the real estate industry. That's what I wanted to bring in right now. Let's do our little preview, and we'll get right into today's topic, which is 3 tips for first-time homebuyers. Okay. Well, I've been seeing a lot of memes on Facebook, and they're usually from real estate agents and showing how tough the market is right now. And it's probably scaring more people than making them laugh. And it is a little nervous time right now because prior to, let's say, the last month, we had expensive prices, and we had low inventory, and we had lots of competition. But now we have something new to the mix, and the something new to the mix is higher mortgage rates. So now that house that you were looking at for 6 months is gone up in price, so the monthly mortgage payment for it will be up in price. And also, now with the higher interest rate, that also increases your monthly mortgage payment. And what it might do as well, if your threshold was, well, first of all, let's take it this way. If you were able to afford a house that was $200,000, but now it's worth $210,000, well, then you have some things to deal with, right? But let's look at the other way of looking at being eligible for a mortgage. Let's say your monthly mortgage amount that your loan officer says you could afford will be approved for will be $1,500, and now that house that maybe 6 months ago with a 3% mortgage, the monthly payment might have been $1,500, but now even if it did not move up in price, that monthly mortgage payment will be higher, and so now you may have been knocked out of the ballpark for this one house. So there are ways to go about it. And before we enter that, let's go look at today's blog post that was on my post this week, and we're going to go over it. And there we see a loving couple, and they're hugging each other because they just closed on the house. That's very nice. All right. And we're going to say that they are first-time homebuyers. Well, what kind of tips can we give other home buyers who are entering the market? Okay. Now, before we go to what the steps here, the most important thing, if you are thinking about purchasing a home, even if we could get you a program where you have to put no money down, it's always wise to save up as much money as possible. Okay? You may have to cut back on spending, but build a nice cushion in your savings checking account. Now, the reason why, and what has been happening in the last few months is that people have been bidding over the market price to win the offer. So again, let's say a house is $200,000. Some people have been offering 205. People have offering 210, and it might even go higher. And that amount is not going to be financed. So if you offer, let's say, $210,000 on the house, and the house appraises at $200,000, if you're going to continue with that sale, you have to bring in that $10,000 in cash. But what I think was what will be happening, and I'm going to be posting more articles from various news resources, and I'll put it on my blog, and I'll put it on social media. But as the mortgage rates increase, it's going to lower competition, because there's a segment of buyers who are only going to buy a house if they get a fantastic deal on it, right? They don't have to move, but if they could get a good deal on a house, they'll buy. It's like people with cars. You can have a great car, but if all of a sudden the prices or the financing on it was really, really low, you say, okay, I might buy a car now. Even though my car I have right now is working great, I'll buy a new one. But if that finance rate goes up and up and up, and say, no, I'll deal with my car now. It's not falling apart. I'll keep it. So that's that segment of car buyers who are going to hold back when dealing with the auto industry from buying that car if rates go up. All right. So we have less competition. Same thing with houses. People say, I have a nice house. It's good. But hey, at those low interest rates, I'll buy something and move up. Even if I don't really need to, I'll do it. But once those mortgage rates go up, that segment of your buying pool is going to be gone. So there will be less competition. And when I think there'll be less overbidding for homes, and what you could do then, if you have money saved up because of the pandemic, because of the last 2 years, you didn't take trips to Europe or across the country, or went to any shows or football games or basketball games, and you have a lot of money saved up, it's very possible you use that money to either put down more of a down payment on the house or buy down your interest rate. Okay? So that's one way to go about it. And, every time I pick a topic, this is a side note, you know what you're going to talk about. And then when you start talking, you think about more and more things you could add on, okay? So then there are things that are called gift letters. So even if you don't have the money to buy down the rate or your money for a down payment, that money can be gifted to you. Usually a family member, will do it. It could be a friend, would be a very nice friend who would do it, he or she. But they have to give a gift letter. And what does that gift letter mean? It means that this money, if they're giving you, for instance, $5,000, that money does not have to be paid back. Because if it had to be paid back, it's going to increase the amount of money you owe, right? Your debt to income ratio. So that's not a good thing. It has to say that you do not have to pay it back. It's a gift. Okay, there was a bank years ago that would say, "We're going to give you free gifts." When you open up an account, a toaster. Well, a gift, that's like I guess it's called an oxymoron. A gift is free. There's no gift that I'm going to give you a gift. Give me $20. No, a gift is free. So by writing that letter, that person can go to court and say, "Hey, I gave them a loan of $5,000. They haven't paid me back." No, okay. There is no court that would hold that up because of that letter. You can still pay them back on your own, but you're not obligated because of that letter to pay them back. So that's another way to perhaps bring down the amount to be financed and or buy down your mortgage rate. All right. Now, in the article itself, it talks about condominiums and townhouses. Now, yes, these two items could be less expensive. But beware with the condominiums, because basically you're buying in an area and it's run by an association, and then there's usually, not all the times, but there might be a pool, there may be a club, there might be tennis courts, okay? There might be a workout room. And so they give you these nice amenities, but you pay a condo fee. And that's where you have to watch out, because sometimes condo fees are pretty high. And now, even though, instead of buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you're buying a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo, and it's less money, but when you add in the condo fee, you're almost at that same point. So you got to look carefully at the condos. Now, the same thing with townhomes. Townhomes may or may not be in a property owners association, or what's also homeowners associations. They usually, I would say usually, because 99% they are attached. And someone's going to say, "Hey, I know a townhouse is not," but they're attached. So you're going to be close to your neighbor. If they make a lot of noise, you might hear it. You're going to be sharing roofs. You're going to be sharing a common wall. So usually these are less expensive, right? Because they're not as big, and again, you're right next to each other. So they may be less money. But again, you have to look at the homeowners association fee. There will be a fee. It might be for something for trash pickup, for taking care of the common areas, for mowing of them. Some going back to the condo associations, you may have a in your association where they will mow your front lawn. Okay, there's benefits of each thing, of each decision in this case between the condos and townhomes. Again, they may be less expensive. You have to look at their fees. Condos will have the condo association fees. Townhomes may or may not have a property owners association or homeowners association fee. And then you have to see what that fee covers. Okay. So townhomes often cost less than single-family homes or similar size in the same location. So again, this article is directed to first-time homebuyers. So your first home most likely will not be your forever home, okay? You may stay there 5 or 6 years. You may enter with being married and having one child, and then you have another child and you want a bigger space. But still, in the long run, it's better to own than to rent. All right? Keep that in mind. That's a whole other lesson. Like I said, there's always so much more to add. And a lot of young people believe that they're, before I go into down payments. This is a nice quote up here. Condos and townhomes are both great entryways into home ownership. When you buy either one, you can start building equity, which increases your net worth and can fuel a future move. All right. So again, it may not be your forever home, and that's fine. And if it turns out to be your forever home, that's good too. But still, it's better to own something, own a home, than to rent a home, because you're building up equity, right? And that's, like I said, I could go on to so many other definitions, but then I'm not going to stay on topic. But if I need to go over equity, we can do that as well. But then they began talking about your down payment. A lot of people think I have to put down 20%. No, you don't have to put down 20%. All right. We have programs with FHA where we just put down 3.5%. Fannie Mae is 3%. That's a big difference from putting down 20%. What this chart here, what I'm bringing up, what this shows, they give an average of all buyers. But what they're saying here, the amount common well, one thing, as you get older, as you build up more wealth, you could put down more for a down payment. But usually your younger groups will put down less. All right. And they'll take advantage of the Fannie Mae and FHA programs. All right. Based on the data above, the median down payment for all home buyers is only 13%. That's well below the common misconception of 20%. And it's even lower for younger buyers. Those are the ones that are going for the 3.5 and the 3% down payment. This could mean you may not need to save as much for a down payment as you initially thought. Plus, there are assistance programs. Okay. In Virginia, we have the VHDA program, where if you're first-time homebuyers and you're in a certain income bracket, and they're very liberal. It doesn't mean that you have to make a low amount of money. You can make an average, a good salary, and still receive assisted programs or 100% financing, which is the VHDA program. And you basically, instead of, you're not, with the VHDA program, you're not putting any money down. You're financing it 100%. And if your credit is even great, there are some programs that will give you 102% or 103% to help pay for your closing costs. But you have to have really good credit for that. Not everybody qualifies for that. So, and depending on what type of market, right now we don't have a buyer's market. But if we have a buyer's market, a lot of times I can get the seller to pay the buyer's closing costs, which usually is around 3% of the purchase price of the home. And then who you should talk to about this process, your trusted real estate advisor like Chris Gajullo, associate broker for eXp Realty, okay? And I will educate you on the process. I will get you or help you get pre-approved. I will send you to, I have about 2 or 3 lenders that I work very closely with. And depending on the programs that they have and my buyer needs, I would put them in that direction. If they can't get you pre-approved at this moment right now, they'll tell you how you could quickly raise that credit score. And it's not a way of fooling the credit reporting agencies. It's paying down certain lines of credit by certain amounts, and they know they have a software program that does the mathematical formula, and they say if you pay down this Citibank MasterCard by let's say $2,000, it will bring up your credit rating up to what we need it to be. If it's 640, if it's 650, it'll bring it up to there. Okay. And then when it comes to make that offer, working with your trusted real estate advisor will help you negotiate and get you the best offer on that property. All right. All right. So let's get rid of that for now. And I have time for a question from one of the people at Buckrope Beach. And let's bring in her video here.
Chris, thanks for taking my question. I want to purchase a home, but with higher interest rates as well as home prices, I'm not so sure I can afford. Can you give me some advice? And by the way, I'm loving the weekly Livestream podcast of Real Estate with Mr. G.
Thank you very much. I believe her name was Pat. William had told me that young lady was Pat. Okay. Thank you, Pat, for your question. And basically what I'm saying now, number one, save up what you can. And if you plan to buy in the next few months, it's important to have some money saved up for a couple of things. You may need it for a down payment. If you get 100% financing, you may need it to buy down your the interest rate on the loan. You could use it for that. All right. You may have to still in this competitive market, you might have to go a little bit above the asking price. So first of all, try to stock away as much money as possible. If you need help, as I discussed before, you could always get a gift from a family member or a friend to either use for a down payment and or use to buy down your points, your interest rate. But again, that letter proves that it is a gift and it does not have to be paid back. All right. Now, other than what's happening now, and I brought it up last week, and I might have still have left the video on it. Let me see. Is this the one on? I think this is the one I began talking about adjustable rate mortgages. Now, adjustable rate mortgage is where you have like a very I think it's called tickler rate, but it's a rate that brings you in. All right. So let's say right now mortgage rates are around 5%. They're actually a little bit higher than 5%. So their introductory rate is 2%, and it could stay there for a year or two. But there's a gap. It will move up. It's an adjustable rate mortgage, so it will move up. And there's a cap. It might be, for instance, 8%. All right. So it'll slowly move up. Sometimes some of these adjustable rate mortgages, they'll say they stay at that rate at 3 years. They'll stay at that rate at 5 years. All right. So let's say you're expecting a nice raise a year or two down the line. This is a way of getting you into the house at the low rate. Now, the biggest thing about it is that you still have to be approved at that 8%. So whatever that monthly mortgage payment would be at 8%, your loan officer has to make sure you can afford that, even though you're not paying that right now. And that was the mistake in the early 2000s. Mortgage loan officers were approving you at that 2% rate, but as soon as the rate went up higher, the buyer could no longer afford it. But let's say you could afford it, but it would still be kind of tight. You could look at adjustable rate mortgages. So that's another way of going about. The other point I want to bring up, if you need to buy, if you want to buy, and it could be for many reasons where you you don't want to pay rent anymore, it's getting too high. All right, let's put it that way. Or you will be, you'll be moving. You're on. You're going to be stationed in the military, and you'll be stationed at another facility, and in another part of the country. All right, you're on a job transfer, whatever. It's better to buy your house now than to wait towards the end of the year, because we still expect rates to go up higher, and actually home prices still to rise. Not as crazy as they did last year, but they still might go up a little bit more. All right. So if you are considering buying a home, it's better now than later. All right. And then speak to your loan officer. Ask them if there are any programs. I already discussed that there are programs for first-time homebuyers where you could finance your down payment. There may also be grants out there. Okay, speak to your mortgage loan officer on that. Do you have any grants for first-time homebuyers where you're not even financing the down payment, you're getting the money? Usually in that case, you have to be in the house for 4 or 5 years. If not, you may have to pay back some of it. One loan, one assistance program that I worked with, you had to stay there 5 years. So let's say if they gave you $5,000 and you stood there 3 years and then you moved out, then you would have to pay them back $2,000. Okay. So you find out if there's any special, little print on these programs where they're giving you money. Make sure you have everything covered. All right. So I hope that's very helpful, Patricia. Thanks for watching. And we already went over 30 minutes. I don't want to take longer than that. I'll perhaps take more questions next week. Okay. So with that, let me just show this little video that would say that we have more options as buyers right now. So let's watch this. So there are predictions that more people will list their homes in the next few months, with hopefully the pandemic being not 100% over, but the levels of people getting sick going down, and with the vaccines and with the medications, hopefully we are returning to some type of normalcy. Okay, so that's it for today. So since we're mentioning about the pandemic, if you haven't been vaccinated, please get it. Please get your booster. I'm going to be making plans to take my second booster, and be kind to each other. All right, be helpful to each other, and remember, the greatest power we have is to love, and the greatest gift, each other. And I'll see you next week.